All right, there we go. It is the end of March, so we're ending our first quarter here. Can't believe it.
Amazing.
I know it, isn't it? Time is flying, but I love this time of year. It's like it makes me recharged for some reason. Maybe the light staying light longer. I don't know what it is, but it's always this time of year. I tend to get very productive. So, or I play harder, one or the other. This year, hopefully I'll do a little bit of both. But anyway, we can open this up to questions if we have a lull. When you have a lull in questions, I've got something I want to share with you guys from Facebook. It's an advertisement, and whenever I see stuff, I like to point it out, show you what they're doing, how they're doing it. So maybe it gives you ideas for stuff that you can do yourself. So anybody got questions? You can raise your hand or wave at me or anything like that to get my attention. All right, nothing to start out with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll get this party started. Hopefully it doesn't kick me off. Zoom does that. If it does, don't worry, I'll be right back in. All right, can you guys see the screen here? Okay, cool. So this was a Facebook ad, and it's you know, it's a fitness exercise ad, but the thing about it that was cool is they're doing a it's a quiz. And I think we talked about quizzes over the last couple of weeks. So I just wanted to show you what this actually looks like. So when you pull up Facebook, you'll see like the ad will show in your feed. And I can run it here and we can just see what's going on. Oh, I got it muted.
Burn fat and get in shape. It's not keto, paleo, fasting, or vegan, and it's not super intense workouts.
Cardio burns fat, right? No.
Cardio actually burns calories, usually in the form of carbs in the bloodstream that are then replaced with the very next meal that you eat and stored as more fat. This is why when you even eat low-calorie foods or run for an hour a day, it seems like it's softer, but actually losing weight. And this is one of the biggest reasons why most weight loss attempts fail within the first 3 weeks. The other day when I was walking into Starbucks,
so notice what he's doing here. He's telling you something you may not have known. So he's educating you. He's breaking myths, and he's basically grabbing your attention with this.
some guy came up and goes, "How do you have such a good body?" And instead of sitting there for 30 minutes and talking to him about the 3 body types, I sent him to my free body type quiz.
See there? He's basically telling you how he shared the information. It's like he's got this secret thing, this body type quiz. And I know for Rashid, you should specifically take notice of this because I know you're working on a project that's right on the money here. So he calls it a 3 body type quiz. And he is going to equate the reason, like the villain here is not being able to lose weight. This is a big villain for a lot of people. So he's equating it to you haven't figured out what your body type is yet. So that's what's coming.
That tells you 3 most important things to do to get in shape or whatever your body type is. Hit that link below and take the quiz. We won't ask for your email or anything like that. Click the link below this video right now. Take my free body type quiz and get your personalized plan right now.
2 mistakes to stop in order to get in shape.
So that is a very, very clear call to action. He's telling you exactly what to do, right? And then when you go ahead and you do that, you click this thing to take the body type quiz, it's just going to take you right in to do that. And the first question here. Now, he could have done better here. He could have done the 3 body type quiz here. He should have labeled this so it's congruent. But he's saying here, new free quiz reveals a diet and exercise to get fit, easy, and fast. That's what we all want. That's the promise, right? And then he goes into the questions, you know, are you a woman or a man? So you click that, and then what's your age range? So he's leading you through all this. And what's he doing here? He's collecting information. He's doing demographic data. He's figuring out who he's talking to so he can speak the right language.
He's also segmenting his list.
Yeah, exactly. But that's even what segmenting the list is. It's the first step in ACT. It's segmenting your market so you can identify who your avatar is. So he's literally like doing this on the fly. If you want to sidestep all the heavy lifting of having to do your avatar work, let the quiz do it for you. The only thing here that you have to understand is whatever the quiz sifts out the bottom. Let's say he leads you to, he's obviously leading you to 3 body types, but he's also man and woman. So he's got 6 avatars going here at a minimum. So basically he's going to have to create 6 different campaigns. So when you see something like this and you know this is a lot of work, right? He's going to have to create 6 campaigns. That's a lot of work. So that elephant can look very large. And remember, you're going to have to eat the elephant. So how do you eat the elephant? 1 bite at a time. So the way you eat this elephant 1 bite at a time is it's exactly what I talk about in ACT. Everybody has a bunch of different avatars, right? We all do. So which one do you focus on first? You focus on the most profitable one. So if you look at the 6 here that he's got male, he's got 3 for male, 3 for female. He's going to figure out, okay, which is the one that's going to be the most profitable for me? And let's focus on that one first. Let's build the ideal funnel for the perfect avatar that's going to be the most profitable for us. And then once that's done, we can clone it, and then we can just simply tweak it slightly for the next avatar. Right? It's not like you have to do this 6 times from scratch. These avatars are very similar. There might be just little minute differences to them in the way that you talk to them. Like if you talk to a person that's 50 and above, and you use the language that's going to be music to their ears, if you're talking to somebody in their 20s or 30s, they're going to say that's for old people. I'm not going to buy it, right? It's just slight, minute language differences, but you've got to have them if it's going to work, right? You cannot talk to everyone the same. You'll get very poor results in your marketing that way. So anyway, well, let's follow this through and see how he goes with this. So let's take, we've got the man, and this is interesting, the way they've got the different things here, like the 20s, he shows the graduate. You know, the 40s, he's showing the burnt out guy going to work every day. The 30s, the guy's got a little more jump in his step. You see that? He knows how to talk to this guy in his 30s. He knows this guy's feeling a little more burnt out. Do you think the language is going to change slightly in his funnel? You bet your butt it is. And then here, you got 50s. This guy's, you know, feeling a little more roughed up. And then now this guy, he's looking like he's going to be an investor. You know, he's even got the little mustache. That's representative of the investor. He's, you know, he's dressed differently. He's got the top hat, the cane. It's showing, you know, this guy's been around. This guy's, you know, he's battle tested. He won. He came out the other side. So it's very interesting the way this is playing out. So let's take the battle tested guy. Okay, now it wants his height. How tall? Well, let's make him a 6 footer. Okay, what's he weigh? Make him 290. How active is he? Oh, I don't. Okay, so you got light, moderate, and very active. We don't have a couch potato here. We should probably have a couch potato. So let's say light. Okay, which best describes you? Okay, so Not happy with my body, want to lose a serious amount of weight. I'm happy with my body, but need to lose one last layer of fat. You see how this is a very, very different conversation here. He's really niching this down so he can speak this language. Okay, so let's take that one. Okay, which describes you. Okay, so now it takes you to the video. And I don't know, it'd be interesting to go through this a couple of times and see if this is the same video or if this video is customized. This video, I don't want to spend the whole call doing this, but this video, I don't know if this one's customized, but it should be. Based on what we just clicked through, this should be a customized video talking to this guy directly. So let's see.
Hi there. Okay, so you're looking to burn off that last layer of.
Okay, so this is an absolutely customized video for what we just clicked on. So this guy is doing this to the T. You see how he took you through this? I bet you this thing has a really high conversion ratio because he's doing it right. So whenever I see this stuff, I like to bring it forward so you can see real life examples of people that are doing marketing the right way and they're following whether they know it or not. Like, I'm sure this guy didn't go through the ACT program, but somebody that put this campaign together for him might have. Or if they didn't, then they're working off the same principles. And like I said, I didn't make this up out of thin air. What I put into the ACT program is basically a replication of what's been going on in the ad world for over 100 years. This stuff isn't new. This stuff, the people that are winning the game in business using marketing are following the ACT program, whether they know it or not. I just put it together for you guys so you could see what they're doing and you could see how they're doing it. And you can use it yourself in your own business. It doesn't take hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to an ad agency to get the same results. But you have to follow the same steps. If you want the same results, you have to do the same things they're doing to get those results. There's no way around it. If you cheat, if you shortcut, if you throw the spaghetti against the wall and it doesn't stick, don't be surprised. It never does. It never did. And it never will. Right? You have to follow the steps if you want the same outcome. There's a lot of people throughout history have said this very thing. They say if you continue to do the same thing, I think this was Einstein, said if you continue to do the same thing expecting a different result, you are clinically insane. That's the definition of crazy, right? Also, if you see something that works and you repeat it and it works one time, it's probably going to work the second and the third and the fourth time too, right? Because if you expected a different result, that would be crazy. I think Tony Robbins, he goes into this in his business training. He said, if you're not getting the results you want, you need to change something. And the best way to change it is to look at somebody that's getting the results you want and do what they're doing. And that's why I put the ACT program together. So you could not only look at what they were doing, but you could truly understand how they're doing it. That's the key. That's where the magic happens. Because we can all look at something. We can all look at it and we can see the result, but if we don't know what's happening, we don't know what we're looking at, we don't know how to replicate it. So, and that's why I'm here every week to help you do that. Because you're all going to go through marketing campaigns. It's just a matter of how good they're going to be, what your effort's going to be, and if it's going to work or not. And if it doesn't work, I can probably tell you why really quickly. Because it's going to be outside the mold almost every time. So Linda, you got your hand up. Go ahead and unmute.
I was wondering what kind of program he would use to develop something like that. Do you have any idea?
There's lots of different programs. There's a company called SurveyMonkey. I believe they have free surveys where you can do that. Surveys are built right into Kartra. I use the Kartra system for all my marketing, and you can do those quizzes. You can actually do a quiz and you can assign badges and give rewards and stuff for people getting the right answers. But there's a ton. There's another guy out there that has created a marketing training program called the Ask Method, not ACT. It's Ask, A-S-K.
Oh, yeah,
he's-
I know him.
His
Yeah.
name's Ryan Levesque, and it's a brilliant program. And all he's really doing is teaching you how to collect the data out of your market. And he's doing it the same way we just saw. He's just asking questions. That's why he calls it the Ask Method. It's ask and you'll get the answers. And then based on the answers, you can do your marketing. Right? So you can either do it up front. You can like do your analysis and all of your research part, and you can figure it all out on the front, and then you can just streamline and just create a campaign. Most people do that. And then there's some people that will do what you just saw. They'll follow the Ask Method. They'll ask the questions, they'll get the data directly from their customers, and they just have to create different campaigns. Like you saw that video was customized to exactly what we clicked in that test. Right? He didn't go into anything else. He said, he addressed the thing. He says, so, you're trying to burn that last couple pounds. Right? He was speaking our language, or speaking the language of the fictitious creature I created. I'm obviously not looking to burn the last couple of pounds, so it wasn't me. But I probably would have clicked the button to the right. I got a lot to go. But you see, he was following it perfectly. So I thought it was a really good example to show you guys.
Yeah.
So anything else, Linda? Or is that it? Okay, Rashid. You gotta unmute there. There you go.
Can you share the link to that Facebook ad?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I want to go through that, and since it's very close to what I'm working on.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll put 2 links in the chat. This is the one that we went to for the video. And then let me back it up and get the one that led us to that. Okay, actually, I think there's 3. So this is the link. The second one I'm pasting in is the link to the actual quiz. And then I'll go back one more. Okay, and this is his actual ad on Facebook. So you'll have all 3.
Right, cool.
And I guess if you just start with the ad one, you can
then
click through, but that'll give you the direct links to all 3. So but that's a good campaign to take a look at. It'd be interesting because I know he's going to get you to opt in at some point. And then you're going to be in his system. And then what you can do, you can get the follow-up sequence. And he's going to send you all the emails. Now, as a researcher, what you can do, you can create multiple email aliases that all come to the same spot. Like for me, my email address is john@internetdominators.com. But I've got a ton of different email aliases that I can create that all land in the same box. So I don't have to go checking a ton of emails. So I could create like test 1 at Internet Dominators, test 2 at Internet Dominators. So I could create literally 6 different email addresses, and then I could go through that campaign and I could sign up 6 different times, and then I could see the different emails coming through for each campaign. So remember, we talk about competitive analysis as a way to shortcut, as a way to take what someone else has done. They've already done the heavy lifting, and then just take it and tweak it for yourself. make it better. You know, if you can take somebody's marketing that's working and you can refine it and make it better, you just leapfrog them. They might have spent years getting to that point, and then you just took where they left off and you just literally leapfrogged them. And at that point, if you're willing to spend the same amount they're spending on traffic, you're going to get better results. And I know several of the marketers, they kind of lean back on the slogan that he who can spend the most to acquire a customer is going to win. And when you do this, you're really cutting off what it's costing you to acquire the customer. But if you can spend money to acquire customers, you're going to win in the game of business. But one thing, when I say that, people kind of don't piece it all together and they don't get it. Like if you're selling a widget and the widget's $10, right? And you think you have to spend less on advertising than $10, you're wrong. Right. And a lot of people look at me and go, what are you talking about? I can't lose money. You're not losing money ever when you acquire a customer if your business goal is long-term value. You should never be looking to just acquire a customer for a one-shot deal. Right? Even if your product is a one-shot deal, it doesn't matter. The customer is lifetime. The customer is forever. Once you acquire a customer, you've gained their trust. They will buy things from you in the future much more easily, even if it's not your stuff. Which this brings up a really interesting thing. How much can you afford to acquire a customer? And like I said, if your widget's $10, let's say there's $8 of profit in the widget, right? The widget costs you $2, you sell it for $10 and you make $8, right? Just simple math. And you say, okay, I can only spend $8 to acquire that customer. That's the wrong way to look at it. If you look at one of the companies that is I don't know if they're the biggest, but they are one of the biggest, most profitable companies in the internet marketing space. It's Agora Publishing. This company, they operate in 3 different spaces. They operate in health and wealth and in preppers. I don't know if you guys know what preppers are, but preppers are people that are scared that the world is going to end. So they're buying survival food. They're buying, waterproof matches. They're buying all kinds of stuff in preparation for when the shit hits the fan. They're called preppers. And the reason that that's one of their groups that they focus on is back to profitable segments of markets. What Agora did was they looked at the entire world as their oyster. They said, we are going to sell information products to the world. Now, as we segment the world, where's the most profitable buckets? And they found those were the 3 most profitable buckets. People would spend money on health, they would spend money on wealth, and they would spend money to make sure they didn't perish when the shit hits the fan. That's where they would spend the most money, right? The most profitable markets they found. Inside of each one of those segments, obviously, they've got a million different avatars. So they do it again. They segment it down again. Okay, in the health market, diet, obviously, that's a big one. Longevity, that's a big one. Aging, anti-aging, they're huge on anti-aging. They've identified, again, the most profitable markets in that bucket. Then they go after the avatar. So here's my point. I'm just kind of giving you the overview of one of the most profitable companies on the planet right now. They're selling nothing but information. They sell newsletters, they sell special reports in those 3 buckets, right? What I wanted to point out was their client acquisition plan. Usually they'll make about $10 to $20 a month on a subscription, selling access to a newsletter or information products, right? They will spend up to 6 times their client acquisition cost. So if they're going to make $20 on this customer the first time they order, they will spend 6 times that to get that order. So they will literally spend $120 to acquire that customer. And some people will go, my God, that's sick. That's madness. I can't do that. How can they do that? And the reason they can do that is because they know their lifetime value of that customer. They know that customer over the next 5 years is going to spend several $1,000s with them. Because guess what? They're pulling them in with the newsletter. They're going to pay $20 a month for the newsletter, right? Or whatever it might be. I don't know that that's the exact number, but let's just use that for simple math. They're going to spend $20 a month to purchase that newsletter and get that information. And it's feeding them. It's giving their soul what it wants, right? It wants to feel like it's getting the information and it's on the cutting edge and all that stuff. What do you think each newsletter is going to promote? It's going to promote a product to purchase to get a result every month, over and over and over. So they're not just paying the $20, they're buying more products along the way. How long do you think this is going to go on? Forever, maybe? What do you think happens when they cancel the subscription to the newsletter and they're no longer paying the $20? Do you think they're going to stop sending you the special offers because you might want to keep buying products? Of course they are. How long will they do it? As long as both parties are breathing is how long they're going to do it, or until the one person on the one side says, stop, I'm no longer interested. Don't send me anything else. And they opt out. But they get that they're going to spend $120 to acquire a customer that's going to give them thousands of dollars over the next few years. Right? Now, is that madness? That's moving, that's shifting from a mindset of scarcity to the investment mindset. Investors think very differently than workers. Workers think they work, they get money, they spend the money, and whatever's left over they have fun with, right? An investor thinks, I do something of value to create value so I can get money, and the first money through the door is set aside for investment. And then the rest goes into a budget. And the budget is meant to squeeze every ounce of investment money out. Right? It's a totally different mindset. And those investors, they're buying things that are worth more than they pay for them. And what is client acquisition? It's buying things that are worth more than what you pay for them. Right? They're not expecting the money from their investment to come back in the first 2 hours. Right? Investors will purchase things that will pay them over a lifetime. What do they buy? Real estate. Say you buy a house, and again, simple math, $100,000 for the house. You put a renter in it, and the renter is going to pay you $2,000 a month, right? So how long is it going to take for you to get your money back that you spent on the house? A long time, but it's going to come back in spades because you're getting an asset. You're getting something that's going up in value. Again, it's investment mindset. You need to think about your customers as investments. And you need to think about them for how can you create a lifetime of value so you continue to get income from each and every one of them. And again, I'm not talking about like scamming them or anything. I'm talking about creating value for what they need over a lifetime. That should be your job, right? Your job shouldn't just be selling people. It should be creating value for people. You'll get paid way more in the short run, in the mid run, and in the long run if you think like that. Like I use the example of the woman that was selling maternity dresses. Right? When I first saw the campaign, I'm like, oh my God, she's going to get slaughtered. There's not enough profit in the dress for her to make enough money to survive. I was like scared for this woman. And then it hit me. I'm like, what am I thinking? She's not selling a maternity dress. She's acquiring a customer. How long is that customer going to be valuable? And in this case, I use 18 years as a time frame. But we all know when you have a little person that comes into the world, it lasts a lot longer than 18 years, right? The expenses, the money spent. Can you imagine for every child brought into the world, how much money is spent on that little physical being in the first 18 years of its life? What if you could just get 5%? What if you could just get 5% of that on a whole bunch of them? How well off could you be, right? So long story short, you create an 18-year marketing campaign, just like Agora does. You acquire the customer by selling them something that you can't make profit on. That's okay. You've acquired the customer. Now you go out and you make friends with all the vendors for every product and service that that child's going to need for the next 18 years. You create affiliate deals. You create an 18-year funnel that when that person, when the woman buys the maternity dress, she now starts getting your information. And you know what she needs every step of the way before she does. It's almost like you're a mind reader. You become her best friend because she no longer has to worry. She can set the worry aside. She can say, my God, Joan knows everything about me. She knows everything I'm ever going to need. I don't need to worry. I can just wait for her to tell me and shine the light on the next step on the path. Right? And she's going to buy stuff from Joan every step of the way. In fact, if she thinks she wants something that Joan hasn't told her yet, she's going to ask her. Right? Every time. I guarantee it. That's lifetime value. That's what you should be creating with every one of your customers. You should be anticipating their next move and make it easy for them. Create value. Don't look at it for how many pennies you can squeeze out of them either. Do some stuff along the way for free, just for goodwill. Just be there for them. If you do, you'll create an incredible relationship. And it will, like I said, it'll pay you incredibly. So, all right. Hopefully I didn't beat that horse till it was completely dead. But Rashid, go ahead. You're muted out, Rashid.
Somebody asked in the chat, what was the name of the company you were talking about?
Oh, Agora. Janie put it in there. Yeah. Agora Publishing. And get on their mailing list. They do long sales page stuff, long sales letters. They have an incredible program. I know quite a bit about how the company operates, and copy, like people that say copy isn't important, I'll tell you right now, copy is king. And what copy is communication. They hire copywriters like they're going out of style. And they're a very, very vicious company. They have a very vicious way they churn the company. And what I mean by that is they're really good. If you're a good copywriter, you're going to make a ton of money with them because they actually split out and they give you a revenue share. If you create a good campaign for them, they will actually pay you based on how well it does. So in that aspect, it's awesome. But as soon as you stop being good, you're done because they're split testing new copywriters against you. You can't be stagnant in that company. Your rewards are based on your performance. And when you stop performing, you lose your future rewards. So that's why I say it's a vicious cycle. They're bringing new copywriters in as fast as they can get them. If you're a good copywriter and you want to churn and burn and just work your butt off, they're a great company to work with. But like I said, they are vicious when you run out of steam. They will throw you to the trash as quick as you can imagine. So, but they do that. And here's how often you have to perform. You have to, as a copywriter working for them, you have, I believe, 7 to 10 days. Every 7 to 10 days, you have to churn out a new marketing campaign for them. You have to come up with a big idea, the hook, the copy, the call to action, the whole enchilada every 7 to 10 days. As soon as you don't, you're out. And so are all your commissions based on all the stuff you made previously. So that's why I say they're vicious. But they are the biggest I don't know if they're the biggest, but they're one of the biggest companies in the world selling information. Very profitable, very, very robust company. That's how they do it. So, and Tim, I would say that they probably do use ChatGPT. That wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, any copywriter at this point, if you're a copywriter and you're not using AI, you're kidding yourself. You're absolutely kidding yourself. You are like on a track with jogging shoes when everyone else on the track has a racehorse. Right? How would you like to walk a racehorse track when you're going against racehorses, right? That wouldn't be very effective. And that's what's happening now. If you're not on the racehorse, all you got your jogging shoes. Good luck. Because you're up against people on racehorses. So if you want to compete, if you want to survive, technology is a fast moving thing. And it gives an advantage to those who use it. It really isn't that difficult. You know, a lot of people see it as a big mystery, but ChatGPT, I guarantee you, is so much easier to use than you sitting in front of a blank page writing copy.
John, I've got a big question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, the whole ChatGPT thing. After doing the study of finding out just how much information is capable of being stored on a daily basis, like we talked about, from the sun and back, literally worth data every day, and that's only Google. The big thing with ChatGPT was talk about the herd of elephants in the room, is that ChatGPT owns everything it produces. And while it will do the copyscape, it's not plagiarism. They still store every letter that they produce. And all they have to do is get a Getty Images thought in their head, which I'm sure they do. And in, let's say a year or two, then they go back and they say, here is all the information and stories that ChatGPT has produced, and here are all the people who've put all this ChatGPT stuff up, and guess what? You owe us a royalty on all of it. And we're going to sue your ass unless they pay you the royalty of it. Until you get past the who owns the copyright on the stuff that ChatGPT does, and you own it, there is one company out there that does it, where you own the copyrights, but they're using 3 AIs plus 2 natural language different programs. So they're using 5 different programs to generate the content, and they give you the copyrights because they own the copyrights, because it's not any one of those anymore.
Yeah.
But boy,
I don't really see that as being that big of an issue, because for one, for them to do that, they would have to have some sort of a legal precedent, right? And it's not like images, like Getty Images. Somebody literally took that photograph. That photograph is copyrighted and it is protected under law. What ChatGPT is doing, or any of the AI programs, they're taking other people's information and churning that out. So who's to say, well, you took my information and regurgitated it for me, so I'm going to sue you for taking my information to begin with. that's going to be something that will probably at some point be challenged, and it'll probably go all the way up to the Supreme Court. And I don't see it getting through the mesh, really. So, I mean, that's just my thought on it. So, you know, could they do that? Yeah, absolutely they could, but chances are not very likely when you really look at it from all the logistics perspective. What they want to do is they want to ultimately they will be charging you for it. There probably won't be any free stuff available at some point. They're getting us hooked on it, right? It's like they're handing out the free drugs right now, and they're getting us all hooked on it. And at some point they'll come back and say, yeah, it's $100 a month. Well, will everybody on the planet pay them $100 a month? I know I would. To save me, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of hours. Sure. I think that's more of their plan, not to come out and, you know, follow the other path. The other path of this, it wouldn't end well for anybody.
I hope you're right, John. You usually are, so
Yeah. And
I'll rest easy.
and you know, the reason I'm not always right, but the reason that I'm right so many times is I look at it from a perspective of what would I do? And you know, and people tell me I'm diabolical. When I look at things, I look at them from a perspective of, okay, if I want to rule the world, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? You know, anything I ask myself, if I wanted to do that, like that's how I've gotten in front of Google for ever since they began. I looked at what the industry is doing to them from an SEO perspective. And I said, boy, if I were them, here's what I would do. And I've been right every time on them because I know what the industry is doing to them and I know what they're going to do to counteract it. And you know, and that's the way I do. I look at it from a perspective. If I was them, what would I do? Why would I do it? How would I do it? And it's been pretty accurate for me. And it also keeps me out of the scarcity mindset. Because if you fear, you know, you can't go through life just fearing everything unless there's really cause to fear. You know, and when I look at it, I'm like, oh, well, you know, they're not in it to just like destroy everybody. Nobody wants to be a hated company on the planet, right? They have to be in it to do good.
Or they don't care.
Or they don't care, but then they'll become a hated company. Like even oil companies, you know, people have cause and reason to hate oil companies, right? But they do so many things to counter that, to make sure they're not hated. There's still going to be some haters, right? They're not going to get rid of that. But look at it, and again, look at it from if that was me, if I were the oil company, and I knew, you know, I'm doing stuff to destroy the environment, and the world's going to hate me for this. What am I going to do to make sure that they don't come gunning for me? You know, I'm going to try and do something to counter that. And that's exactly what they do. So
I may have something, I don't know if it's interesting or not, but it's just a curiosity I'll add to this line of conversation, if that's cool. I was having a conversation with my Chat GPT friend today. And yeah, even after telling it what I do, it kept putting in information like, you know, generic information regarding the field. And I finally got a little snippy with it. And I said, are you familiar with the phrase preaching to the choir? And this was his answer. Yes, I'm familiar with the phrase preaching to the choir. It means to try to convince someone who already agrees with you, which is not very productive or effective. In the context of our conversation, I understand that you are already a master trainer of NLP and have extensive knowledge and experience in the field. My previous response was intended to provide some general insights and perspective on NLP training for anyone who might be reading our conversation.
Yeah.
I found that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that's kind of reason to be scared.
Exactly.
This thing is gaining technology at a rapid rate, like a mind-boggling rate. It's
Enough information to go from the sun, from the earth to the sun and back every day only with Google. So yeah, it's learning a bit.
Well, okay, so I have a really wild conspiracy theory.
Oh,
uh-oh.
go. Yeah.
So Chat GPT's model as an AI learning instrument is to be exposed to basically all of the data on the internet. Yes?
Yep.
Okay. So the interaction, the interoperability with humans gives it the rest of the story. So not only on the internet, but everybody who interacts with the internet is now part of the AI learning model.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, learning model though is, as they say, they call it unsupervised. So when was the best time that you ever turned a 4-year-old loose unsupervised and wanted to see what they did? That's where the stuff is.
Yep. By definition, I think supervision is an interesting word that you can have all kinds of different definitions of.
so back to Richard. Do you know what happens when you cut a 4-year-old loose unsupervised?
Yeah.
No, really. Do you know what happens?
Usually all hell breaks loose. Every cabinet in the house is open and everything in the cabinet's on the floor. And yeah.
No, you're not thinking clearly. They're learning at a rapid rate.
Oh, of course they are. Yes.
They're learning at a much more rapid rate than if they were restricted. That's what Chat GPT is doing. So yes, it is an unleashed 4-year-old, and it's learning at a very rapid rate.
It's a sponge.
So much so that they're having trouble keeping up with it. It only took, when they first ran it out, there was a story about how when they first ran it out, it took less than 4 hours to go from "I love you" and "here's the rainbows and unicorns" to Nazis are wonderful people and the Holocaust wasn't real. So they, they're having their own game time trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, it's a crazy atmosphere for sure. All right. I don't know if that's Allie or Allie, are you with us?
Yeah,
There
Rich,
you are.
he put his picture. He was on a meeting, and
I didn't know if it was Richard or Allie.
well, he's listening. Want to say hi, honey?
Hi, John. I'm here too.
Hello.
It's a rare day that Rich is here, but yeah, John, it's interesting. I have been getting, speaking of Chat GPT, I've been getting all kinds of business offers on how to use it effectively, and that's actually what I wanted to ask you. If you could give us, you have a brilliant mind, and I am grateful to be in your circle. So I'm wondering if you could give us all some coaching on how to ask the prompts correctly. I've been playing around with it, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes
we've actually done that a number of times, and it's your prompts should be longer versus shorter. Your prompts should be like in paragraph format. The more you ask it, and also tell it things that you want it to know to be able to answer your questions. Like you can tell it, I'm an artist. Here's what I'm facing. Here's my problems. Here's what I've learned. But what I want to know is, and you'll get a much better answer out of it if you ask it like that. Just speak to it as though it's a real person. It understands. It really does. And if you want like more detail and see like some of the examples of how I've used it, and also Gregory that's on our calls here, I've worked with him on it, and we actually put that into the AI book that I put out here a while back. So if you go onto my website on the Internet Dominators site, and there's a little button up there called special offers or something like that, limited time cyber offers, something like that. Click that button. It'll take you to a page where you can download that AI book for free. And it's got a whole bunch of resources in there. It's got a bunch of different tools that I've found. Some are free, some are paid. But it gives you a lot of resources if you're interested in learning AI. And
Yeah.
it's even got the, you know, I don't know if you saw the video avatar that I created, the woman that talks about my products.
Is it in the, because I downloaded it a while ago, John, and I reopened it. It's on my desktop. What is the, I didn't see the woman thing.
Yeah, re-download it because there's a whole bunch of new updates to it.
Oh, okay. 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 I'll do that again. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Download it again. I put a ton of stuff in there just in the last month or so.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. And, you know, anyway, I love you. And
It's
glad to see
really
everybody.
cool. In fact,
Yeah.
I'll dig up the thing. Let me go to Shelley here while I'm looking for this, and go ahead, Shelley.
I have two questions. While we're on the topic of the AI, so on the news this morning here in Ontario, Canada, there was a RCMP warning about some scams taking place with the voice automated
Yes.
artificial intelligence, where they're able to, for example, record my grandson's voice. How they're doing that, I don't know. I suppose pick up the phone and call them. Record the voice and then turn around and take that message, initiate the message to give Nana here heart attack, and so wanting to send money, etc., etc.
Yes.
So that's scary.
Yes, that's not a new thing. That has been going on for a long time. It's just AI now is taking it to a new level.
In what way?
Well,
way?
Before, like I actually had this happen to me 10 years ago. I got a call and it was a young girl on the other end of the line. And she said, "Hey, uncle, you know, how's it going?" And here, you know, I've got like 11 nieces. So I'm trying in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, which one is it? Which one is it? And she says, and I said, "Who is this?" And she says, "It's Sarah." Well, I actually have a niece named Sarah. I don't know if they knew that or if they were just throwing spaghetti to the wall. But I'm like, okay, you know, hey, how's it going? And I haven't talked to Sarah in years. So as far as I know, I'm talking to Sarah, right? And the same thing, a sob story, needing money, all of this. And I asked, you know, because I'm somewhat diabolical and cynical. So I'm going to vet this, that this is actually my niece. So I start asking questions that I know only she'll know. And this person didn't know the answers. And now I know. So now I'm going to have some fun and, you know, play with this girl. But anyway, long story short, it was a total scam. And it's a very advanced phishing scam. Maybe she looked me up and knew I had a niece named Sarah. And she was going to try and milk me for money. So that scam you just mentioned, that's been going on for a long time. But now the program, the program you're talking about is called voice.ai. And what you can do, you can upload a recording. All it takes is 30 seconds. If you have a recording of someone's voice for 30 seconds, that's enough to train voice.ai for that voice. And now you can literally speak the script that you want that voice to say, and it will convert whatever you say into that person's voice. That's where the evil comes in. So that's where taking that scam to a whole new level. Like if let's say that I just talked to Sarah last week and I knew her voice, like, you know, like I knew her voice, and that voice came on, I may not have even questioned it. It might have gone right through my filter. So that's where it takes it to a new level. There's going to be some evil shit come out of this. I can't candy coat it for you. There's going to be some nasty stuff come from this. And you know, but again, if you go through life with a scarcity mindset, it's going to prevent you from being what you're supposed to be. take the stuff and use it
Right.
for the right purposes, and don't worry, you can't change the people that are going to do bad stuff.
No,
You just
no, I think
have to-
all we can do is to make sure our family members are aware of it.
Yeah.
And maybe, have some safe words to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
to,
that-
yeah,
well, that's exactly why I asked Sarah the questions I asked her.
yeah,
That was it.
Yeah.
Or you could just hang up and say, call me back in 5 minutes, and then call your person and see if that's the person who's making the call.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I mean, that's a little cynical, but yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
have to,
Give me 5 minutes, call me right back. I gotta use the bathroom. And
yeah.
then call your people and make sure that's your people that's making the call. It's not that hard, like.
Well,
Yeah.
an easier way was, oh, hey, sweetie, can I give you a call right back? What number are you at?
Right.
yeah,
You know, if they give you their number, you'll know where it's coming from.
yeah.
But again,
Um,
it's like educate yourself to
Yeah.
not only protect yourself and your family, but to use what you know for good and for your own personal advancement. Don't
Yeah.
not use it because people are using it for evil. They're going to do that anyway. You can't stop them.
That's right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
My second question, which has got nothing to do with AI, it has to do with FTC.
Okay.
So I was just, sent a message off to your office this morning, and I was checking out the bottom of your Internet Dominers website. And I thought I need to find out whether or not there's an FTC where it covers. So I found out that it's the US, and it says abroad, which is
Correct.
vague. And
Correct.
so Canada has their own called the Canadian or the Consumer Product Safety Act. And so what I'm wondering, since I'm in Canada, but I'm not legitimately selling only to Canadians, obviously. So would I be wise to have the FTC and the Canadian version on mine?
I really don't know the answer to that, because that would be like a legal question. But for anybody that is operating in the US, the FTC is the Federal Trade Commission. And what their job is to protect consumers. So they're looking for fraudulent claims, they're looking for manipulation. And one of the things is they're trying to prevent is marketing that is using nefarious ways to convince people to purchase products that aren't true.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
in a perfect world, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
They're
In
very,
Canada, they seem to go after the banks a lot. The
Yeah.
banks are their main drive.
yeah. Well, I know
In court, that is, yeah.
Yeah, in the US, their main drive here is it's focused on claims, like especially income. If you're telling people to purchase your product because they're going to make money, you're on the radar. You
Yeah.
got to be really careful. You got to make sure you have income claims in your policies, disclaimers rather, income disclaimers.
Yeah, I have disclaimers, but I'm interesting. I really liked the little sample conversation that I think it was a friend of yours that you put in the bottom of your website. It did kind of explained it a lot better. So I thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
It's
all right.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else?
I don't know why I have AI calling me asking for money for lingerie all the time.
Woody, that's called a browser history. That's awesome. Oh, too funny.
Question. I
Okay.
had a magazine interview
Huh?
with Canvas Rebel, and the interview it's published, and they sent me a copy on my website. Where should I put that interview?
Okay, it depends on the purpose. Anytime you have something, whether it's an interview or an ebook or whatever it is, you want to figure out how am I going to use it. If you're using it for credibility, you can use it in the form of a testimonial type thing. If you're using it to prove a point, you could actually inject it in the point where it needs to go in your sales process, or in your funnel. If you're using it to get more interviews, then you want to create a media page on your website. Because if somebody that has a podcast or something that's looking for people to interview, they'll look to see if you have a media page. And on your media page, basically you have your picture that they can copy and paste into their thing. You have a bio, a brief bio, and then a long bio. And then you have examples of podcasts that you've done or interviews that you've done. You can also, if you really want to make it easy for them, if you want to get a lot of interviews, you put on there potential topics, outlines of conversations, and questions for the interviewer to ask you. And it makes it an absolute no-brainer. And then you'll get a lot of people that will call you up and try and schedule you to interview you. Because they know you do this and you're good at it, and you'll make them look good, and it's easy. You've already got it figured out. Because the last thing an interviewer wants to do is trying to figure out what questions to ask you. That's they want their job to be easier. So if you make it easy for them, you'll get a lot of invites for that. So does that, I don't know if that totally answers your question.
Yeah, I just got to figure out what my goal is for the, because I have like several goals, so I have to niche it down to.
And what you might do, I don't know what's in the interview, but a lot of times when I'm structuring an interview, if somebody's going to interview me, I'm not really going to sign up to be interviewed unless there's an outcome that's favorable. And I'm gonna I'm gonna ask them. I say, okay, why do you want to interview me? Do you want
to actually be
yeah. So, but for me, what I'll ask them is, would you like to sign up for my affiliate program? We'll talk about X product, and then anything that sells through your interview, you'll get a commission for. And if that's the case, then okay, yeah, I'm all in. And then we'll set it up. We'll do some education. We'll create demand and desire for whatever it is we're selling. And then at the end, we'll make an offer and we'll put their affiliate link in there. And then once that interview is done, if there's another audience that I have that I feel would be, that message would be beneficial to, then I can promote that as well. Or I can put that out on social media and I can say, hey, we just did a great interview. Here's what the people learned on the interview. So if you want to learn this, go watch it. You don't have to wait. You don't have to sign up. It's already done. It's available for replay.
Similar to the weight loss thing.
Exactly. Like whenever I do a webinar, I always turn the webinar evergreen. We'll do the initial launch and we'll invite people to the live webinar and a bunch of people will sign up. Like we might get 1,000 signups for a webinar. When we actually do the live webinar, out of 1,000 that signed up, we're lucky to get a couple hundred to actually show up. And when we run them through, we might get, a 5 or 10% conversion ratio. If that, sometimes it's lower. So if we have, 200 people and we get a 10% conversion ratio, we just got 20 new customers. But we had 1,000 people sign up, right? The numbers aren't that great. But then once the webinar is done, it goes to a replay page, and then we promote the replay. And the first people we promote it to is the people that signed up that didn't show up. We send it out to all of them, and including the ones that did show up. And we say, the replay is up. The webinar was great. Here's the takeaways. Here's what you missed. So we're trying to create an urgency for them to go see it. The other thing that we do is urgency, as we say, we did make for all the people that were live, we made them a special offer. And it was only for the people that showed up live. But here's what we're going to do. We know, scheduling is tough and things come up and life gets in the way. We've extended the special offer for the next 24 hours. So you're now giving them a chance to get that same special offer that they've already missed out on. So now all of a sudden, oh, I got 24 hours. I should go see that right now. And you've told them why they want to see it. You told them what they're going to get, what they missed. And if they don't, they're not going to get the special offer. So that is now evergreen, and that can be promoted out forever. And you just promote it out as, hey, sign up for this webinar. We've already done it. The replay's up. The benefit of that is you don't have to wait. It's on demand. Another benefit is if you watch it soon, and I always do this, when I create the evergreen webinar, I put a timer on the webinar, and the timer is going to expire in either 24, 48, or 72 hours. So once they hit that page, once they click to go to that webinar or sign in for that webinar, the timer starts, and the follow-up email sequence starts as well. So it'll send them an email immediately, you know, hey, thanks for registering. Here's the link to the replay. And the timer is there that says, you know, you've only got 72 hours to watch and take advantage of the special offer. And then if they don't do that, the next day it'll send them another email and say, you know, you've only got so many hours left. And it'll keep doing that till the timer hits 0. When the timer hits 0, they can still watch it, but the special is now crossed off and the regular price is there. And we did this on a SEO software, and it was a great campaign. We did very few sales on the live webinar, even though we had a good audience. But on the follow-up, we did the webinar on a Wednesday, and the special offer ended Friday night at midnight. And the special offer was 3 months free. They bought the software and they got the service for the first 3 months for free. So that ended Friday night. We got very few sales, like I said, on the live webinar because we didn't push the urgency. The urgency was pushed to Friday night, and then the webinar was Wednesday live. So by Friday night, we had like $30,000 in sales by Friday night. And I thought that was incredible because our expectation for the thing was 25,000 total. I was a little disappointed when we did the live because we were nowhere close. And I'm like, oh man, this was a bust. But by Friday, I was pretty excited to see that we had exceeded what we expected from the numbers. The thing that shocked me even more was Friday night, the 3 months expired, right? So we sent a follow-up email that said, you missed the 3 months, but for another 24 hours, we're extending 2 months free. So you won't get the 3, but you can still get the 2. So by Saturday night, we had a pile more sales. And then on Sunday night, we did another one for anybody that didn't order again. We said, you missed the 3 and the 2, you can still get 1 month free if you get in by Sunday night. By Monday morning, I had $52,000 in sales from that campaign. And it was a 3-2-1 expiration. And the thing that really blew my mind was people kept ordering Monday morning at full price with no free months. It's like, what the hell are you thinking? If you knew you wanted it, I guess they were just waiting to see if it was real and true, and we were actually going to remove the free months, which we did. That's another thing. Whatever you say you're going to do, make sure you follow through on it. Otherwise, you will not be taken seriously in the future. Like, I've done this with live webinars before, and I don't think it's a good idea, but I've done it just to prove a point that I'll do what I say. And if I say the webinar is not going to be recorded, and I record it, and they find out that wasn't true, they'll never believe me again, right? Don't ruin your credibility for some trickery. Don't think you're going to get a few more sales by saying something that's not true. That is not a good way to create a relationship. So anyway, there's a lot of different things, but that's one thing you want to do when you plan out your marketing campaign. You plan out the offer too. We don't spend a lot of time really talking about offers, but that was a good example of an offer on the end of a presentation. You can get really creative with your offers to drive more sales. So one of these days I should just do a whole segment on offers, how to create offers. All right, so
Yes, 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 like next week. And all the peanut gallery said, yes.
and I'm happy to talk.
Yes, John.
Anything you guys want to know, all you have to do is ask me. I just don't know what you need. I'm happy to give you whatever you need. So
We only need everything.
if there's something you're stuck on, it's like the avatar. We got 50,000 avatars. Where do we start? I can't eat the elephant all in one bite. You got to give me the bites that you want. We'll eat that thing till there's nothing left. Woody, go ahead.
We are just completing a course, Gateway to Joy. That's sort of my seminal, what I'm all about. And it's taken much longer to do than I thought.
Always does.
The cameraman, the editing, the music, the follow-up course, the homework that you send everyone. It can get up to 10 grand pretty easily. If you don't want it to have the homemade look that everyone has, and so, boring, just talking heads. I was wondering now this course I designed to give away for free, but I'm seeing how much value they're getting. But I guess what I'm really doing, John, is what you said about a membership site, and doing more powerful offers to them. So my question is, what would you do, your 30-day plan for, what would be your 30-day plan for marketing? I'm just sweetening it. So it'll be done in maybe 10 days. Should I be sending pre-orders out, or
Yeah.
like, here it's coming, baby, it's coming. and then what would your plan be from A to G, let's say, to get it really launched and get it making money?
Sure, absolutely. And I wish you would have asked me this a little earlier, because I probably could have saved you a ton of money. Anybody that is thinking about putting a membership site together, you don't need fancy stuff. You don't need film crews. You don't need fancy editing. In fact, the stuff will probably sell better if it's more organic. You don't need anything other than your cell phone to film your stuff, seriously. Or Zoom, like what we're doing right here, live feeds being recorded. This stuff sells like crazy. Informational products don't have to be fancy. The content has to be solid. If your content is good, the delivery, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but it has to be viewable. It has to be, the audio has to be good. I'd spend some money and buy a good microphone, but we're talking about a couple $100. We're not talking about $10,000 worth of equipment. And any time that I have ever done, you guys may have heard the story, I'll tell it again. But anytime I've ever done a membership site, I've always pre-sold it. It's never been complete when I started selling it. And what I would also do is I wouldn't even start creating it until I tried to sell it first. Because guess what? If I can't sell it before it's created, I'm not going to be able to sell it after it's done either. So I won't even take the first step if I can't sell it. And the first time I ever did this, I was doing high-end SEO, search engine optimization for companies, and I was expensive. I was not cheap. I was thousands of dollars a month for these companies for me to do the service for them. I got invited to speak to a women's photography community. These were business women, and they were portrait wedding photographers, and they were really interested. Their whole group, they had a society, and there was probably 100 of them in the society, and they did these monthly meetings where probably half of them would show up, half or less. And one of their topics was search engine optimization, and they asked me to come and speak to the group, which I was happy to do. I didn't have any expectations. I wasn't there to sell them anything because I knew they couldn't afford me. I mean, that's kind of a shitty thing to say, but I knew they couldn't. And I wasn't even going to try and sell it to them because of that. But I was going to go and I was going to tell them how it worked and educate them the best I could. And as we were coming up, you know, I'm working on my presentation. I'm like, my God, these women are going to want this so bad, and they're not going to be able to get it because they can't afford me. They're going to want me to do this. And I didn't want to do it. And so right before I did it, I was talking to my wife about it, and she's like, what are you going to do? You know, they're all going to want it. And you know, it's going to be very frustrating. And I said, I figured out what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell them a course that's going to teach them how to do exactly what I do so they can do it themselves and they'll be able to afford that. And she looked at me and she's like, you don't have a course. And I'm like, that's right. And I'm not going to build one either unless they buy it. And she looked at me like I was nuts. And I showed up, and she was in the back of the room with order forms to sell this course that didn't exist. And it was interesting because, you know, anybody that knows me, I'm a shorts and flip-flops guy. And, you know, if you're lucky, I'll put on a Hawaiian shirt, but that's about it. I'm not showing up in a suit and tie. You know, the only time I'm going to need a tie is maybe once, and we won't go to it. When they bury me, they'll be able to put a tie on me.
Why would you want to do that and break character, John?
I won't have anything to say about it. That's why they're going to get an opportunity.
Oh, we'll forbid it.
An uprising, right?
We're gonna bury you at sea, brother.
But anyway, these women they're very professional. And they're dressed to the nines. I mean, they got their business suits on, and they're very serious, very professional women. And here I come walking in, and none of them knew me. They had never met me before. And I come walking in my flip-flops, and they all sat back, crossed their arms, and gave me the nastiest stare. It was the coldest room I think I've ever walked into. But within 5 minutes, I had them all leaning forward. I was telling them how the stuff worked. They were completely engaged. And by the end of my 45-minute talk, I got, I think, 3 marriage proposals, and my wife's back there going, no, he's taken. And I told him, I said, here's what I'm going to do for you guys. I said, I've never done this before. But I want you guys to be able to get the benefit out of what I just shared with you. And there's a lot more to it than obviously I can share in 45 minutes. So I'm willing to create a course for you guys that's 8 weeks long, because there's 8 sections that I need to teach you. And if you want it, I will create it for you. It doesn't exist right now. I can't give you access to it, something that doesn't exist. But I gave myself like 3 weeks. I said, I think it was like, you know, May 1st, I will release the first lesson. And it was on a Monday. And then I said, Friday of that week, I'm going to do a Q&A, and I'm going to answer all of your questions related to that lesson. And you will know exactly how to do that first step. And then the following Monday, I'll release lesson 2. And the following Friday, we'll do a Q&A, and I'll answer every question you have on the second step. And we'll do that for 8 weeks. Well, over half the room bought it. And now I'm thinking, oh shit, now I got to create this thing. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. I had never done a screen capture video before. I had never done any kind of video before. And I'm sitting there going, oh God, what have I done to myself? But I figured it out. I got a screen capture video software and I was able to record the lesson, put it up. We did the Q&A and it went so easily. That course was created so easily. I couldn't believe it. And halfway through, I was at another event and I got the opportunity to pitch what I was doing. And I got more people out of the second event to jump in. And even though the thing was halfway over, they all jumped into it. So I had, like, by the end of the 8 weeks, I had over a couple hundred people signed up and had paid for this thing. When we got to the 8th week, I was doing the Q&A and these women were literally freaking out. And I'm like, I don't know what the problem is. I'm like, tell me what you're missing. I'll stay on the call and answer all of your questions. And it came down to the reason they were freaking out was what were they going to do the next week when I was gone? That was what they were freaking out over. And I hadn't even thought of that. So here I'm getting live feedback from my customers of what they wanted. And I said, if I was willing to extend these calls and continue doing these every Friday, would you be interested in that? Would that be something that you would want me to offer? And they all were like rolling over backwards going, yes, yes, that's what we want. We want you. And I said, okay, would you be, and I didn't even ask them what they would pay for it. I said, would you be willing to pay $29 a month for that? That's where the $29 a month came from. That was in like 2008. The call that you are on right now is the extension of that. This call has been going on since 2008. It originally was Friday at 11. Now it's Thursday at 11 because I asked everybody what's your preferred time, and most people vote for Thursday at 11. That's why it's today at 11 o'clock. So it's been going on since 2008 because of customer feedback. There are some of the original women that are still on here. I don't see any of them on here today. Usually they'll pop in here once or twice a year when they need me.
One of the guys is John.
Yeah, Richard. Richard has been here since the beginning. And but some of these women that pop in like once or twice a year, when they pop in, what they're asking me is worth who knows how much. The idea that they've got me whenever they need me is cheap insurance for their business. And I'm always here for them. So that's lifetime value. You know, that goes back to what I was talking about. How much can you afford to acquire a customer? What's your lifetime value for that customer? It makes the math super simple. So, but Woody, I wish we would have, and I know you've heard this before. You must not have heard it, but you.
Don, they all those things to make, I get it, but we did a cheap version before and it really didn't cook. So anyway, for me, it's gotta look good because also one of my businesses are multimedia. So it's looking at, because ultimately I'm gonna do what Gillette did, is change my model up a little bit to get into the entrepreneur, helping you get in business. So part of my thing is multimedia. You know, like we'll put you together, we'll make you look beautiful, and then we'll give you John Limbacker is one of my affiliates, and then we'll sign you up for all that shit. So, you know, for me, it's you know, it's worth it and it's fun.
Yeah, well, that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with high quality production. Don't get me wrong. I was not trying to steer anybody away from that wants to do that. But my point is twofold. My point is you don't have to. I don't want anybody to think they have to do what he's doing to do this. And the second point is there's no reason not to sell it before it's done. And to that point, if you can't sell it before it's done, don't expect to be able to sell it after it's done. So
Well,
you're
it's a giveaway. It's a giveaway, the first one.
okay.
And,
Well,
and I think it would turn out to be a mastermind.
yeah.
You know, maybe to do what Gillette did, a one-time $25 membership site,
Yeah.
where if it's cool enough, you get 500,000 people. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, but keep in mind, even if you're giving it away, you're giving it away for a purpose and you're giving it away for a value. The value is you're opting them in and they're becoming a prospect. So you are, no matter how you slice it, you're selling it, even if it's for free, because unless you're just creating stuff to give away, and then that might put you in the maniac box. If you're trying.
I've been in the maniac box before, Johnny. It's not profitable.
I know, so I'm trying to keep you out of that one, but anyway. All right, let's go to Angela. We've been making you wait for a long time there. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. So I am a legal nurse consultant, and I'm trying to refine my message. So I feel like I'm coming across too salesy, and I'm just trying to figure out the best messaging. So my target audience would be medical malpractice attorneys, workers' comp, personal injury.
Okay. So when you say you feel like you're coming across too salesy, are you pushing for the sale? Is that what's making that?
No, I'm mainly I feel like I'm just always talking about my services, and maybe I'm trying to think of like other ways to get them to build that trust.
Got it. Okay. So then, and this is for anything, your service or anyone else's. The thing that you want to do is you want to figure out why they want it, what it's going to do for them.
Okay.
And then shift your focus onto that, because if you're talking about the thing, you're talking about features, and nobody buys features. And that's, I think, the thing that's making you feel like you're being salesy. So turn your focus away from the thing and turn your focus onto what the thing does.
Okay.
And what that's going to do, that's going to eliminate that from both sides. You're not going to feel it, neither will they, because now you're talking about what's important to them, which they're really ready to listen to that, and they're ready to talk about what's important to them. And then what you do as you're doing that, you connect the outcome of what they want to what you have. So when you fall back on what you've got, you don't necessarily take them into the weeds telling them about it. You just say, oh, well, that's what my service delivers. You know, anybody that's come to me, that's what they get out of it. You don't have to really go into what it all is and all the nuts and bolts. They don't really care. You know, they care about one thing and one thing only, that they get what they want and they get it quick.
Yes.
So there's a model for that in a presentation, and this model works really good. I learned it from Frank Kern. He calls it the magic model. And the way it goes, just real simple. I could probably do like an hour thing going through all the details of this, but just from a simple standpoint, the first thing he does in the presentation is he shines a light on the problem. He calls it the BAP. That's the big ass problem. So you bring it out, you expose it, you talk about what they're facing, what their villain is. And then the next step, like he doesn't even miss a breath before he does this. He does the next step after shine the light is twist the knife. And the twist the knife goes something like this. If the big ass problem wasn't enough, then you got this, and that's where he twists the knife. So you just take it one step further. And now if they weren't beaten by the first one, they're like, oh my God, she's right. This is it. And then you lead them out of the pit of hell because you just took them there. Don't leave them there. That's really cruel. So you're basically giving them a way out of the pit of hell.
Okay.
And you say, let me walk you through how you get what you want. And that's the big chunk of the presentation, is you walking them through this mountain that they're going to have to climb. And you cover all the hurdles, all the steps, another thing you weave in is the minefield. Like you say, as you're doing this, I'm going to show you what you need to do, but be careful as you're doing it. I'm also going to point out a couple of things that could really blow up in your face, and I don't want that to happen. So here you're gaining trust. So as you walk them through, here's the steps of how you're going to do that. Then when you get them to the other side, you say, okay, that's all you have to do. Right. And then you can offer to assist them in doing it. So if you're doing any kind of a service or a coaching or anything like that, the magic model works magically.
Okay.
You offer like a do it with them service.
Okay.
Like, I'll be there to help you every step of the way. That's what my course, or that's what my thing does. It shows you step by step how to do it. And then you've got me there to help you. And that magic model works really, really well. If that's what you're selling, if you're selling a service to help them get through something.
Yes, to understand the medical aspects of the case. So a lot of times they'll try to review the records themselves, and I'm a registered nurse, so I understand the medical terminology, diagnosis, and all that. And so they'll have to do research, and it's kind of time consuming for them. And they don't understand like all the back, the back end stuff that nurses understand, or like things that are not in a book,
Yeah. So just walk them through all the stuff they're going to need to know. Don't get into the weeds. Don't like try and tell them how to do it.
Yes.
The stuff they're going to have to go through to get what they want, and then offer to help them.
Okay.
They will more than likely be very willing to pay you to help them, because you've just shown them how complex it is. And you've stayed focused on, see, the big ass problem is what happens if they don't figure this out. So you've made it painful enough that they need to figure it out at all costs. You're just going to help them do that. And
Gotcha.
I can almost guarantee you are not going to feel salesy at all if you do that.
Okay.
And I bet you your conversions will go through the roof if you do that.
Yes, definitely. So I'm definitely going to work on that.
That is my prediction.
Yes. Yes. Because I've tried like just the email, but I feel like video does kind of works a lot better. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Start barking.
Yeah, no, video is very effective. Absolutely. Video is at least 10 times more effective than email, at least. Emails are great to keep people on track and stay in communication. But if you're trying to teach or get a point across or really connect, nothing's going to do it like video.
Yes. Got you. And would you recommend like just like me talking, like educating, or do you do like more of like, video where you have, voiceover or whatever?
Well, it really depends on you. If you're comfortable with it, you should do it.
Okay.
There's some people that are not comfortable with video, and there's some people that are not comfortable with the process. If you really know what you do and you're comfortable with it, and you don't have any problem being, in front of the camera, just do it yourself. It's easy.
Okay.
But for those of you that are not comfortable being in front of the camera, or maybe like you freeze up and you don't feel like you're smooth in your delivery, what you can do is you can script it out.
Mhm.
And then you can have like a talking head do it. You can, you want me to show you how I used AI to do that?
Sure.
Okay, let me share the screen. And hopefully I won't get kicked off. I used AI to create this woman.
Mhm.
I named her Becky. And she is my assistant. And I used AI to create her. I
Mhm.
used AI to create her voice. I
Mhm.
used AI to create the script. I didn't change a word of it.
Wow.
And here's what she has to say.
Okay.
There, my name is Becky, and I'm your new marketing assistant, but I'm not just any old assistant. I'm an AI-powered whiz kid who knows a thing or two about making your business soar. I'm here to tell you about the ACT marketing protocol, which is going to absolutely level the playing field for you and your business. Here's a little secret. Did you know that top 8 agencies worldwide have been using the same proven model for over 100 years? Well, John Limbacher, my creator, has taken that model and made it affordable for even the moms working at home, trying to make a few extra bucks on the side. Now, I know what you're thinking. Becky, how is this going to help me? Let me break it down for you. ACT is going to put the power of marketing to work for you to generate more leads, sales, and profits. Plus, it frees up your time by using marketing automation so you can spend more time doing what you love. John has had decades of experience helping business owners scale up and thrive. He's so generous with his time and has done so much for struggling business owners that you just can't help but love him. But enough about John. Let's talk about you. You need to check out the ACT program for your business. Trust me, it's going to work hard so you don't have to. And if you're feeling a little FOMO, that's because you should. Don't wait. Check out the ACT program today. Your business will thank you later. Well, bye for now, but I'm sure I'll see you soon once you have seen the ACT program.
I want to marry you.
How cool is Becky?
Wow.
And then she automatically forwards you to the sales page.
That's amazing.
So how cool is that?
That's awesome.
That was really cool.
That is AI at work. Like I
Wow.
said, the AI generated her image, it
Mhm.
generated her voice, it generated the script. I gave it, you know, like a couple of paragraphs of prompts, and it basically took it from there.
Wow.
And were you the cleavage creator as well?
Nope, that was total AI.
You want to see a little cleavage out there, huh?
What I told it was I wanted a low to mid 30s brunette with blonde streaks, attractive, business-like, professional receptionist type to be a spokesmodel, and that's what it generated.
Wow.
So
What he would have said, just give me a hot chick.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just enough AI. I was waiting for her to morph into something that was going to eat your head.
Well, I thought it was pretty cool, but then I was thinking, you know, okay, what if she's like too sexy, right? And I got some
There's a
feedback.
song for that.
Some people, you know, said, hey, you know, she's, you know, and this is what we're talking about right here, you know, the cleavage. So,
That's right, babies.
so I went back to the AI and I said, you know, give me the same girl, but a little more conservative. And there she is with a turtleneck.
Is that Becky version 2 or re-Becky?
That's Becky version 2. And then we got a Becky version 3. I told it make her sporty, you know, and more highlights. And then we had a Becky 4.
Wow.
And all I was changing, and this one here, I said, make her look a little more like Jacqueline Smith. I kind of like Jacqueline Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So she looks a lot more like Jacqueline Smith here. And then I said, well, let's put her back to the business suit, Becky. So it's pretty crazy. And each time I was regenerating the scripts. And I literally, I did this for the sake of an exercise to show how to do this. So I didn't change the scripts at all. And I should have, because there's some stuff in here, like this one is more aggressive. And she says, she makes reference of something like, this isn't just for big time ballers anymore. And I'm like, that just doesn't fit my motif.
Hey there, it's your favorite AI marketing assistant, Becky, and I'm here to help you step up your business game. Let me tell you about the ACT Marketing Protocol. It's a marketing strategy that uses the same proven model that top ad agencies worldwide have been using for over a century.
That was another thing in the script. When I typed out, or when the script said ad agencies, the voice would say ad agency. It didn't know what that was, so I had to change it. I added an extra D. So instead of AD agency, it's ADD, and then she enunciated it properly. So she said ad agency. So that was one thing I learned.
What software is doing the lip syncing, John?
It's called i-id.com. If you download the new version of the AI book from the website, it's got all the resources I used to create her.
It's not just for big time ballers anymore.
Dude, that's the part I didn't like. It's not for big time ballers anymore. I'm like, where the hell did you find that?
The 80s trying to get their script back.
Yeah. So when I do this again, when I go through and I actually refine this and make the final version for what I want to use her for, I'll go in and I'll edit the script for exactly the way I wanted it. But I did this just as an example for how cool to just have this thing kick it out and be pretty damn good. Yeah, pretty cool
So
stuff.
John, let's see AI, Becky S&M. No, I mean, so you could actually make her appeal to all your avatars. You could make Becky for fishermen, Becky for musicians, Becky for whatever.
Yes.
And business entrepreneur. You could make Becky for like each business, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like in here, let me see here. See if I can find. Okay, so in the AI, my AI folder here.
Was that the free version of AI that you used?
A lot of it was free. So
Okay.
in here, these are still images that the AI created in my process to create Becky. So I had it dress her up. I mean, I took her shopping. I put her everything. I didn't go bikini, but I went tank top to parkas. There she's got her parka. So, and I did this because I plan on using her on a lot of stuff. So I don't want her to look the same every time. Somebody's
it's too bad she doesn't move, like take a jacket off or, shake her head or.
You can actually do that.
Again, Woody, get your mind out of the gutter.
You can.
Well, I mean, listen, you're looking at a cartoon. So come on, act like a cartoon.
But it's, even though it's a cartoon, it's pretty realistic. And you could actually do this with a real photograph. Like if you wanted her to look absolutely real, you could get a stock photo of a real girl.
Wow.
And it will animate her. It will turn her to life. The AI will literally bring any image to life. So I wanted a nondescript one, so I was able to just create what I wanted. So I didn't have to deal with, any people or, having their rights or, whatever. So I just created what I wanted here.
So John, could you use Chat GP whatever S to kind of test market her and see what Becky most people like?
Well, you would have to do that with advertising. You would have to drive traffic to a split
wouldn't-
test. But yeah, you could do
Wouldn't
that.
evaluate your split testing?
It could, yeah. If you gave it the results, it could absolutely do that. But I mean, this is pretty much common sense. Like, I know which audiences I have are going to like the different versions. Like if I'm going to send this to Woody, Woody's not getting the turtleneck version, right?
Right.
If I
Maybe I want the Muslim version with the burqa.
Yeah, probably.
But it's, you know, it's fairly intuitive what your audience is gonna like, because you send them either what they're attracted to or what mirrors what they currently are. We're always comfortable with what mirrors us. You know, in this case, it would be, you know, what would be attractive to you isn't necessarily looks. If you noticed her speech, she said, you know, I'm an AI whiz kid that knows a thing about taking your business to the next level. That is attractive no matter what wrapper you put it in, because that's what people are going to want. They're going to want someone to help them take their business to the next level. I mean, what business owner is not going to want that? Right? So the looks and the vocals go hand in hand. You're really replicating what your avatar is going to want. And you know, and if the messaging, it's all about the messaging. Becky is just the deliverer of my message. And then how I wrap her, whatever clothing I put her in, is gonna try and match the audience segment. So that makes sense. Like, I see Shelly's probably more of a turtleneck girl. So you're muted out, Shelly.
That's not fair. I'm in Ontario. It's colder. Typically, I'm not.
But just seeing your image, I would want to try and mirror you.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, if you have some good stock photos and you
Yeah.
want to animate yourself,
Yeah.
it's
more-
I think it's a good idea. It's cute.
Yeah, the more you know about your audience and the more you can mirror to them, the more comfortable they'll feel with your message and the more they'll want to work with you. It's just that simple. That's
Yeah.
what really good salespeople do. They try and mirror. In fact, I wanted to tell you guys, last week we had the call at a different time. The call was earlier because I was speaking on stage at the Marine or the Long Beach Convention Center. I spoke for 2 days. The first day I show up and the AV equipment doesn't work. So I literally walk on stage and find out I have no presentation. Wasn't a big deal. I knew the material, and I'll show you guys what I do whenever I'm doing a presentation. It doesn't matter if it's live, if it's on a stage, if it's in a Zoom call, whatever, a webinar. I'll always create a sheet like this. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's kind of,
It's blurry because of the background is blurred.
yeah. Oh, well, anyway, it's a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that's a printout with all the little boxes from my slides from the presentation. Sometimes it'll be 2 or 3 sheets long, but I always have that sitting either on the desk in front of me or up on the screen or whatever. So I can see the whole presentation at a glance. And I know right where I am at any given time versus the clock. Because when you're doing a presentation, you're always working against the clock. You have to be done at a certain time. So since I had that, I didn't feel lost at all. The only difference was they didn't get to see the slides I was speaking over. So the presentation went off perfectly. And in this particular presentation, one of my questions was, are any of you, do any of you like doing face-to-face sales? Do you actually like the sales process? And I was expecting a no, hell no, I don't want to do sales. That was what I was expecting. But I got a guy in the second row back, stuffs his hand up real high, says, I love sales. And I'm like, oh shit. Now I got to deal with this. But I used it. I used it to my absolute advantage by using him as a verifier for exactly what I was telling him. And every time I said something, I turned to him and he verified it. It was perfect. So I used him as a tool. And what I was talking about was the way a good salesman operates, whether they know what they're doing or not. They do these things. And I said in the first encounter, they're looking visually for what they can start up the conversation with. They're looking for either the way you dress or what you're carrying or your environment. Like if somebody got on a Zoom call with me and they noticed what was behind me on the wall, it's a big fish. So if a salesperson walked into my office, what do you think he's going to strike up a conversation around? It's going to be fishing, right? And I usually, knowing that, I usually throw them off base. They assume I like fishing. And the first thing I say is, I can't stand fishing. And that sets them back. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, I like catching. I hate fishing. I like catching fish. Boat rides, I couldn't care less about. Sitting there bobbing up and down with a fishing rod, no, not for me. I want to pull on a monster and I want to put him on the deck and take him home and eat him. Right? I do fishing very much the way I do business. I'm not fishing for customers, I'm catching customers. No interest at all in fishing. So, but the point of this is he's going to use that as an opener. And then I went to this guy and I verified. He says, yeah, absolutely. And I said, the other thing about it is you figure out how you can position yourself to be as much like them as you possibly can so they feel at home with you. And he's like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. So everything I was saying, he was verifying for me. But that's what you need to try and do. And that's why you have to figure out your avatar. If you don't know who you're talking to, you can never create the messaging that will do that. In the very beginning of this, we showed the example of the guy with his questionnaire, his quiz. He was figuring out by the quiz answers who he was talking to, and then he went right into mirror mode. He's like, I understand your journey. I know right where you're at. Here, he's going to take you right into the messaging, and it's going to be right on the money. So cool stuff. All right. Anything else before we wrap up? I know we've covered a lot of ground on this one. A lot of good topics. But like I said, I would rather talk about what you guys need than just me, spewing away. So don't ever be afraid to tell me, where you're at, where you're stuck, what you're working on. Happy to review stuff, anything I can do to help you advance. Just let me know. That's what I'm here for. So, all right. Anything else before we wrap up?
John, a quick question about images that you put in your videos, like with the Elvis illustration. Do you feel a risk by the Elvis Presley organization for not having permission?
No, actually, I don't, because I use stock photos that I paid for.
Oh.
So the company that I use for my stock images is called depositphoto.com. And they usually, I wouldn't recommend signing up and paying for their service, But what you want to do is you want to sign up and get on their mailing list. And before long, they'll send you out a special offer. And the special offer is 100 images for $100. And when they send you that offer, if you need stock images, sign up for that. They give you a year to use 100 images. And that's the cheapest you're going to find stock photos. And at that point, you got a year, you can pick 100 different images to use. You download them and then you can use them. You paid for them.
But in the case of Elvis Presley,
Again, it's a paid image that you purchased. They aren't really images specifically of Elvis. Like the one that I use where it's him from the back, that's not Elvis, that's an impersonator. The one that is his profile is a cartoon. That's somebody's artist rendition of him. So again, I'm not using anything that is, copyrighted that's going to put me in jeopardy of that.
I'm not worried about the copyright. I'm worried about the publisher that owns Elvis Presley's, estates.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is if they did send me a cease and desist letter from an attorney, I'd just stop using it. It's just one big idea of how to sell act. I'd just, toss that one aside and move on to the next one. And I have had that before. Like I've had logos that I've created to create companies, and I'll get a cease and desist that says, oh, that's in use. And I'm like, okay, just on to the next one. Not really a big deal. Generally, when they send you that stuff, it's a scare tactic. And in a lot of cases, I don't even think it's real attorneys sending it. They've just got boilerplate form letters that they send out. But, for them to chase you down and try and sue you and collect money and all that, it's not worth their time. But the only place that I will actually use images that I'm probably not supposed to use is if I'm doing like a live presentation on a stage or something, and it's just a one-time, it's not recorded, it's for the eyes of the viewers in the audience. Sometimes I'll just make it easy and just go to Google Images and pluck stuff out. And I know a lot of that stuff you shouldn't be using commercially, but in those kind of cases, I've been known to do that. But if I was advertising something and I'm going to go run a Facebook ad and I'm going to advertise it to, 100,000 people, you would want to make sure that you've got stock images or stuff that you own for sure. No reason to put yourself in harm's way.
Well, I'm doing a video, and some lady that I'm coaching and consulting is, this is in Africa. So these ladies are all, they went to an event and they're all dancing, with these beautiful headdresses on and everything. And I'd love to show it, but I don't have the permission of those particular participants. But what the hell? They're in Africa, Are they going to sue me?
Again, if they do have a problem with it, it's easy enough to remove it. It's a matter of exposure too. If it's such a minimum exposure, your risk is so low that it may not even be calculatable.
Well, John, I bought that insurance, that legal insurance.
Yeah.
Would that include something like this?
It should. Yeah, that's errors and omissions insurance.
Yeah, maybe the sports fans don't know what it is, but
yeah,
I bought it a while ago, $300 forever.
Yeah, if it's errors and omissions, that should cover it, because that's basically just an error in judgment or whatever.
If I need help with my website, a one-on-one, do I pay for the mentoring, or do I can just call you and you can help me, or how does that work?
yeah, if you need help with your website or something like that, go on to my website, internetdominators.com, and there's a button right there above the fold for a free 15-minute consult.
This
look
one
at-
right here, this
Huh?
blue one?
Yeah. Yeah. That will take you to my scheduler. You can schedule a 15-minute. We'll look at it and I can send you in the right direction. If I can help you, or if I can't, I can send you to somebody that can. I can usually fix most things though, so.
I know you can. I have to go to class.
All right. Well,
Dave?
thanks for joining us. I think we'll go ahead and tune out here and be back on next week. I will be in Las Vegas next week, but I will be regular time on the call. I'll be at Perry Belcher's event learning about AI. He's going to be revealing all the deep, dark secrets of AI. So I should have some really, really cool, fresh information for you for next week. All right, guys, have a great week, and we will see you next time. Thanks for coming on and bringing your questions. I truly appreciate it. It gives us great content.
Thanks,
Awesome,
John.
John. Thanks.
All right. See you guys.
Patty.